Almighty God and Father, Architect of the universe, we count it a privilege to be alive today and more so to be present here today. We thank you, Lord, for the many graces that you have bestowed upon us and your mercies which are new every morning. Father, we ask your forgiveness for the times when we have strayed away from you. At this time, dear Father, we present everyone present here into your hands, and we pray that you hasten the footsteps of those who are on the way. Father, we thank you for governance. We recognize that governance started in heaven, and so we ask, dear Father, that you direct our government in every way, in everything. Father, we pray that you give us wisdom at this time, that whatever transpires here will bring glory and honor unto your name. And when we should leave this place, we pray, dear Father, for traveling mercies that we all will get back home in safety. We give you thanks, we give you praise. In the name of Jesus, your Son, we pray. Amen.
Thank you very much. Yes, thank you, Mrs. Riley. At this time, I want to invite to the podium Mr. Ed Regis, the chairperson of the Grand Bay Village Council, to welcome all of us to this gathering.
Good afternoon. Let me first of all welcome the Honorable Prime Minister of the Commonwealth of Dominica, the Right Honorable Dr. Roosevelt Skerrit, and welcome him to Grand Bay. I believe it's quite a while he hasn't been here. We also have at the head table the Honorable Minister for Health, Honorable Dr. Kenneth Daru from our neighboring constituency. He is a Grand Bayan. We welcome him too. And of course, Honorable Johnson Drygo, Minister for Agriculture. And of course, Grand Bay being an agricultural community, I can understand why he's at the head table. We want to welcome him this afternoon. I'm not sure whether there are other members of cabinet, but of course we want to welcome our own parliamentary representative, Minister for Culture, Youth, Sports and Constituency Empowerment. We want to welcome members of the media who are here to bring the proceedings live, and I look forward to, a pretty interesting discussion here this afternoon. I'm not sure I can stay for the entire meeting. I am a man of God myself, and I was really hoping that this meeting would have been held maybe some other time, but the Catholic Church has its Lenten retreat, and being a sinful man myself, I have to go look for some level of, forgiveness. So I may have to leave at some point in time to go to Pishley, where the Lenten retreat is being held, and also because I am the chairperson of the church committee. So it would not look good that I, abandon. But this afternoon, we're happy to be here to focus on Grand Bay and the development of the community. But having followed the discussions on some of the other town hall meetings, I first want to commend the government for this initiative. It is important that we educate our people and that we get people to understand what government is trying to do. And from the offset, I want to say that the CBI program, which has been the focus of many of these town hall meetings so far, is certainly something that we ought to educate ourselves a bit more about. Because the CBI program has come in for a lot of flack. The Prime Minister, ministers of cabinet have come in for a lot of criticism. But the CBI program is what has Dominica going today. There were the days when we had bananas, and we have gone into tourism. But had we not had CBI, the Citizen by Investment program, we would have been in a more difficult position here in Dominica, and we all have to understand the contributions that the CBI program makes. And all of the criticisms that you hear is certainly because some people understand and they know what the CBI is contributing to our economy, and they want to destroy it because it is not they doing it. And so we must all stand in defense of the CBI program. The CBI program is not a program where somebody has passports on a shelf in a shop selling passports. That is what they tend to make you believe. Nobody can do that. Not even the Prime Minister or the President or anyone can just take passports and sell them. Passports, for anybody to get a passport, there has to be a vetting process. Even you and I, as born Dominicans, we cannot just go and say, give me a passport. We have to apply for it, and a process is engaged before we get the passport. That's why we can't get it the same day. We have to wait 2 weeks or so to ensure that everything is in place. And it is the same thing that happens with the CBI program. And the CBI program allows people to invest in Dominica, to come forward and to help us in Dominica. And so the money that is generated from the CBI program is money that helps to do so many things across the country. The NEP is supported by the CBI. The 70 and over, the people who benefit from that, and I want to commend the government for that, for the 50% increase that they have given to our elderly folks. You know, and sometimes I say to the Prime Minister, I don't understand where he comes up with some of these initiatives, but he's a very wise man and a man who cares about people, and only people who care about people can, really come up with these programs. But this afternoon, I don't know, nurse, bear me some indulgence, because I will have to leave, and I might not be able to hear the entire meeting. But I also have one or two concerns that I would love to raise in regards to Granby. Being the chairman of the council, I have to really put forward a few things. I know that the council has worked closely in the last several months with the parliamentary representative and with central government to bring development to the community. But we have a few things that need to be done, and I know I have raised them at other forums. Take, for example, the NEP. I know that there are many communities around the country that have several NEP employees. And I am a bit concerned that we do not have enough in Granby, because I think that the NEP people, they try their best. They work hard. I see them every morning when I pass, and they really try their best. And the work that they do, everybody can attest to the fact that it is very good work. Very good work. We've never seen that part of the community so clean so often. So I want to compliment Latoya and her crew. But we need more. And the reason why we need more is because the NEP people, they begin by the secondary school and they get to Tetlale and sometimes part of Geneva House. But that is not Granby. You know, Mabouche is Granby. Where Miss Great? I saw Miss Great there. Miss Great does a wonderful job in Mabouche. Maybe Miss Great should be on the NEP. I don't know. Lawi Deye, Hagley, all about the place. We need 40 more NEP people. I hope the people at the head table are taking note. We need more. So I hope that they're taking note. And I've always said, long before I was chairman of council, this is my third term on the council, that Granby is too big to have one sanitary laborer. We have Simbert. Granby is a little town. We want to welcome Lady D and Honorable Minister for Social Services and the Honorable Minister for Commerce, Honorable Rosalind Paul. We want to welcome you. I've always said that we need more sanitary laborers in Granby. Granby is a big place. It's a big place and it's a difficult place to run. So while the NEP people cut the grass and they clean it, cleaning the drains and keeping sanitation and so on is important. And Simbert alone cannot do it, especially after Carnival and Isidore and so on and so forth. So I am asking in front of you, it's a perfect time to ask, that we need 3 more sanitary laborers that we can deploy around the community. I hope I get responses before I leave. That is one. Secondly, My dear friends, I am extremely excited and happy about the distribution of support to small business people recently. I think a number of people received. The council worked along with the parliamentary representative, and some people benefited. But there are several others who really needed the assistance, who did not get, and I hope that there is another phase of support for small business, because the real people, Jennifer selling plantain by the road needs, Kiba, Davina, Abio, all others. I don't want to call names, but several people need the assistance. Because you know what I noticed recently? That here in Granby, I don't know if you have seen it yourselves, that Granby shuts down at 8:30 in the night. Shuts down. Lale is shut down. No more business, no commercial activity going on. And we never knew that before. It is important that we stimulate small business in the community so that people can survive, so that people can really feel that CBI and the government is making a positive difference. Agriculture is also very important and dear to us. I remember I worked in the agriculture industry for 12 years. I was an agricultural extension officer. And Geneva, which contains some of the more fertile soils in the country, is a place that we need to ensure we can develop to really fulfill its potential. I remember we produced the best ginger in the world, top-class ginger. You remember that in the 1990s. So we have to find ways and means to harness the properties up there in Morpo and in Geneva and other parts, so that we can help our farmers to survive. I understand that the roads are going to be developed and so on. And I want to encourage you, the farmers, to return to the farms, because, we know of the informal economy here in Granby, what we grow, and sometimes we know that it is illegal. However, we try to survive on that, but that it's not always guaranteed. So therefore, we have to go back to formal agriculture to ensure, and I'm happy that the Minister of Agriculture is here, that we can ensure that we can contribute to the food basket of Dominica and to export to the region. I also want to mention a few other projects that have been in the pipeline for many years, from one PALREP to the next. The Meacham Bridge. Meacham has always been a problem, and I hope that tonight somebody can tell us something about Meacham and how we're going to correct that situation, because if Erica comes back or Erica's sister comes back, then we have to deal with Meacham. We in Granby do not have beaches or lakes or tourism attractions. What we have is culture. And cultural tourism is a big thing around the world. And it is important that we also invest in culture, so that culture itself can be presented as a tourism attraction to our community. That is very, very important, and I believe that that is something we can take on board to ensure that culture can make a more serious contribution to Granby. By the way, PM and PALREP, the Matutus Park wall is still down, and I want to ask that we consider rebuilding the Matutus Park wall, the seat of culture in Granby. And one other project that we have heard about for many, many, many years, and I think the people of Tetmon and Montine would be happy if we could get a response to that, is the Tetmon-Soufriere Link Road. That is very, very important, because we've heard about it, there were campaign promises about it, and it has not been fulfilled, and we are patient people. However, it is a crucial time now to consider that road, because in Soufriere, our neighboring constituency, there are going to be hotels built. And if there are hotels being built in Soufriere, then the people of Montine and Tetmon and even Granby should be able to access some of the employment there. Our farmers should be able to sell some produce there. So now is the time to really consider constructing that road so that we can get more economic development in our community. So there are a number of other things I want to say. I want to thank the NEP, by the way, for having cleaned the yard of the community center. I hope that continues. We also need NEP people assistance at Matutu SPAC and the playing field. So that's why I'm making the case for 40 more NEP employees, because those we have cannot do that. They don't have the capacity to do all of that. So there are several areas. I hope that this afternoon, those of you who bring up concerns can all the time can bring them up. And one last thing, my favorite topic that I always bring up, employment for young people, employment for young people, employment for our young people. That is important. We had different attempts to employ our young people, which were not fulfilled. I do hope we can hear something. This afternoon, I'm not talking as Senator Edward Regis, I'm talking as the chairman of the Grand Bay Village Council. So therefore, I'm looking forward to some responses to these concerns, and we do hope that we can have a very fruitful meeting, and I look forward to a very good interaction with members of cabinet, in particular the PAL Rep and the Prime Minister. Thank you and welcome once again.
Thank you very much, Mr. Regis. Let me, at this time, thank you so very much, Mr. Regis. Now, let me recognize the Honorable Dr. Roosevelt Skerrit, the Prime Minister and the Minister of Finance. Let me also recognize Honorable Johnson Drygo, the Minister responsible for Agriculture. Honorable Dr. Kenneth Daru, Minister responsible for Health. Honorable Rosalind Paul, responsible for Small Business and Commerce. Honorable Catherine Daniel, responsible for Social Services, Family and Gender Affairs. Any other of my cabinet colleagues that may be there, I want to recognize you if you are in the crowd. I also want to recognize the chair of the Grand Bay Village Council, other members of the Grand Bay Village Council. I saw the members of the Pishna Village Council present here this afternoon. I saw people from Grand Bay, Pishna, and around the community. Let me say pleasant good afternoon to all of you. And I also want to say pleasant good afternoon to all of those who are to all of those who are listening via DBS and Kyrie FM, and also those who are following through the live streaming of this activity this afternoon. I want to take this opportunity, first of all, to welcome all of you to what I think is a very important meeting for us in the Grand Bay constituency. I want to particularly extend welcome to the many residents, the people who resided in Dubic at one time and now residing in Grand Bay. I think this is the first forum that we are having them jointly with us. So let me extend special welcome to all of you people from Dubic living with us here. This afternoon's activity is expected to be something that is supposed to be sharing of information and also an opportunity for us to listen to you so we can have that dialogue between government, the PAL Rep, the Prime Minister, or the ministers of government, and the constituents of Grand Bay. So I think it is very timely. I think that is something that people longed for a while. So we are happy that this afternoon we are there for this meeting. I'm hoping that we can really be interactive. We can give respect to everybody's opinion, and people can be free to speak and to make their comments and to ask questions as it relates to our development in the Grand Bay constituency. But particularly we'll be paying more attention to Grand Bay because we had a similar meeting in Tetmon. Sometime in February, we had a similar meeting in Tetmon where we had the Minister of Agriculture and we had the Minister of Commerce with us. Unfortunately, the Prime Minister was not able to make it. I'm happy that he's able, although his voice is not too well, but he really wanted to be here. So I really want to thank him for being here with us this afternoon and all my other cabinet colleagues. As I said, it's a time also for information. And as we listened previously, we heard some of the things. So I think before we open up to other speakers, I would like to give a little synopsis of what has been happening in the Grand Bay constituency, more specifically in Grand Bay, in terms of many areas, so that at least you have a clear picture of what has happened, what is to come, and what is happening presently, so we can all appreciate the level of work that the government of Dominica has been doing in the Grand Bay constituency. And I will be the first to say that there will always be work to be done in every part of the country, always. And we have to understand that all of this has to be done incrementally. It means one at a time, because no government will have resources to do everything at one time. So it has to be, we have to set our priorities and decide which one comes first and which one we should do later, because we cannot have everything one time. But as your humble servant, I must say I want to thank all of you for the support that you've been giving to me for the past 7 years, and the support that you continue to demonstrate as I walk through the constituency, as I pass by your door, as I meet you in the office, as you come to my doors to raise your concerns. I really want to thank you for the level of support that I have been getting from you. Let me, as we speak now, let me just look at, and one of the things I usually do is try to tell people, as I speak, I really want us to put ourselves in the picture of everything that I speak to. Put yourself in the picture of everything that I speak to. Because too often that people lament that I don't benefit, I don't get, and I don't. But I want to try to bring it into perspective, and we can see how it relates to all of us standing here, everyone without exception. For example, if I am to start with, one of the things I will start with is roads, because I know recently, up to yesterday there was an incident where I think a bus driver's tire got, punctured as a result of the ripping of the concrete that was used to do some patching. And I want to say that I know this has been a concern, but I thank God for the government of Dominica and the Labour Party administration who've been proactive, and more specifically, I want to thank the Honorable Prime Minister and the Minister of Finance for his wisdom, his intuition, and his foresight, and his ability to lead us and to help us to work in the interest of the people of Dominica. Everything that this government does, it is not to satisfy the need of Justina Charles when we do things in Grand Bay. It is not to satisfy the need of Dr. Roosevelt Skerrit. It is not to satisfy the need of any individual politician. It is to satisfy the needs of the people that we serve. And all of them is to satisfy your needs. So everything that we do it knowing that we are there to serve people. So as I speak to roads, I want to say to you, when I presented a report to Cabinet, because from time to time we meet and we discuss constituency matters, and we were all given the responsibility or charged with the responsibility to do an evaluation of the roads within our constituency so that we can embark on a road enhancement program as directed by the Prime Minister. And I want to say to you, when I presented, Dr. Daru made fun of me. Some other members of Cabinet made fun of me because they couldn't understand my cost was so exorbitant, because it was in excess of $7 million. And they made fun, but not because they were ridiculing, but they thought, but Justina, you want to take all for yourself. But what I have done is, in consultation with the branch, with the Grand Bay Labour Party branch, the Constituency Association, members of the community, village council persons, what I have done is to put a list of all of our dirt roads, include our feeder roads, include the road from the PHL Secondary School to Tetlale, which I think is tired. That's the word that I use to describe it, because we patch and we patch and we patch, but it's tired. And so I think we need to do a complete resurfacing of that area. So I presented that to Cabinet. Honorable Drago will speak to feeder road. I will not go there. But however, just to say that even on the feeder road, in Makaton and Mopo, the government of Dominica, of which I am a part of, we've spent $376,125 in Mopo and Makaton so far. And that is just for surfacing. That is not for brush cutting and cleaning. The Lale Road project, we must not forget, and I'm saying that when I speak to the Mopo Road, I am speaking to farmers and the people whose vehicles are going up there. So you will appreciate somehow it has touched you. I want to also speak to the Lale Road. You see, the thing is sometimes we have to bring it back because we have a tendency, we are human, that we may forget. So the Lale Road, we spent in excess of $2 million to do the Lale Road project. And that was something that everybody welcomed. And everybody thought that it was long overdue. And that was done when we spent $2.2 million to improve the roads in the Lale. We will recall Powell going up to Mr. Bedminster. That road has been in a deplorable state. The government of Dominica, we spent in excess of 83. I don't give you the details, but I can say to you it's in excess of $83,000 on that piece of road. From Victoria, just not too far from where we are, to the Grand Bay Health Center, we spent in excess of $123,000 to surface that road. Up in center, where close to Officer Daisy, we've spent about $100,000, a little more than $100,000 there. Ravin-Banan to Grand Culibri, you'll remember the road from Ravin-Banan to Grand Culibri and how it looked. And we spent $226,000 and more on that piece of road. The youth center to Highland, you remember what it was, and that started, I think the negotiation and the work started in the time of John Fabian, but it was actually done during the time that I became your PAL rep. So that there, we spent $170,000 to do that back road there. From Mariana, Isaac to the police going up onto the main road, we spent $100,000 there. Campeche going in from the main road in Campeche to go into Balapak, we've spent $200,000 so far. Small Black area, Timotin, where he now has his house, going up that area, we recently spent $110,000 on that road. At the back, somewhere at the back behind Moransi by Agos area, we spent $80,000. It's good to say that because the tendency to forget is there. When we do those roads, we, number one, employ locals. Nobody can say that they saw somebody from St. Joseph or from La Plaine or from Colio come to work in Grand Bay. We engage local contractors. The local contractors engage your sons, your brothers, your cousin, your nenen, your boyfriend, and they engage people to work on the roads in Grand Bay. It means, therefore, we are creating employment for some of the people. You may not have been working, but the money came into the house that was able to buy food on the table. So that is why I am saying I want all of us to put ourselves in every picture that I paint here this afternoon. So that means we've spent in excess almost $4 million on the road that I spoke to. Almost $4 million. And as we speak today, we have approved for the Grand Bay constituency $1,003,863.75 for development of additional roads. And that is just a portion. So we're doing it now in stages. So we're doing some. So we will see roads, the pavement of rigid pavement from Geneva House. We are not Mary Baron. Mary Baron, you there? That is something that she's been talking about all the time. So I met her at church and I tell her, Mary, your road is coming once and for all. Up by Small Black, we did the roads, but we have not done the drainage. And anytime you do roads and you have not addressed drainage, your road, it will be compromised because there will be undermining because of water. So you must add road to that. So we will see roads to the tune of $34,000, drains, sorry. Rigid pavement from Theophil, because if you looked, for those who travels that area, there was a piece that was not done. It has been done already, and that is $63,000 is going to be spent there because the person has not gotten paid. From the entrance, the orange, is Commodore, the man living just by Pierre Alexander, right there. Every Sunday at church, he reminds me, nurse, my road, that road, and they retired and elderly, and they cannot go there. So you will see that being done for $49,000, in excess of $49,000. We have Mountain in it, so I won't speak to Mountain. We will come back and go down to Bala Park, because Bala Park, we have already spent, as I said, $200,000. Now we have two branches, one going down from below Abio, because we've done a little to below Abio, we've done up to there. So we have to continue that to go to the Pierre Charles Boulevard, and we have now to continue from where we stop by Kenneth Blaise, that's Pato, to go down to the Ed Bank Shed. So we are going to do that piece of road, and it is going to cost us in excess of $300,000, almost $400,000. It's going to cost us to complete this leg. The primary school to come into Zephyrin, we see part of it is done, and the rest has to be continued. Because part of it is done, we've already discussed with the contractor that we are going to, the savings there, I'm going to do the entrance to go to Teacher Maria's house at Berwickwa, and that is an agreement already. So we are going to spend that money to do those roads. I want to say to you, all the other dirt roads that are in Grand Bay, I have an estimate for them. And so we will be doing it. After we complete those, we will be doing others. And we will be working closely with the village councils in Grand Bay and Tetmon to execute the contracts and to facilitate the payments. And at this point, I really want to thank the council for having worked with me to execute quite a few of my projects. So I want to say to you, when it comes to road, the only thing I think I may be missing as it relates to road is the Powell crossing. So I have already asked the engineer to give me the estimate on that. But I think I have all dirt road covered in Grand Bay with consultation with people like you. So when it comes to road, we have to see, and I want to say the benefits are not for just the bus drivers. You travel on the road, there's ease of travel. You travel more comfortably. There is less wear and tear on the bus drivers' buses. I usually say we complain because even when the tire burst, and when we did the repairs, it's because, and we used concrete, that was because there was a shortage of asphalt on island. And so we used concrete. I could not have allowed the road to deteriorate worse than it was. And so the Minister of Public Works tell me, Mrs. Charles, let us get somebody to do some urgent repairs on the road. And that is why we had to use concrete. But we recognize using concrete on asphalt sometimes creates a little issue because sometimes it comes up, it pops up. So we definitely will be paying attention to that. But very often when those little things happen, people complain. But how often do we turn back to say, when the road is improved, to say, thank you very much. Bon Dieu gouvernement ka tou avay. Merci pour chime lan. Boss la ka kou we douce. Ti drive la le transport la douce. How often do we do that? But the day when sometimes things does not work, we lament and quarrel. We have to look at the positive side of things. Okay, we continue. Are we listening? Yes. Government, through the wisdom again and foresight of the Prime Minister, started the eradication of pit toilets in Dominica. And when we started that, when the Prime Minister made the pronouncement, people thought he was, It's like some people ridiculed the whole, and even until to the extent they made a calypso. But soon after he said that, the United Nations declared war on pit toilet. So he was ahead of the United Nations. And now you have many other countries following suit in eradicating pit toilets. And so we must cherish the wisdom of the Prime Minister. In Grand Bay, for example, in Grand Bay, we have done in excess of 18 washrooms to the tune of $198,000. These are those that have been completed, okay, and functional. To date, the council has had at its disposal $121,000 for completion of 11 washrooms. Okay, that is in progress. Although sometimes the Prime Minister says to us as cabinet colleagues, use up what you have, and I can understand you do not want to put too much money into a place. We give you money for that. You have to use it up if you want more to come. But however, we still want to move with a little haste to attend to the needs of the people. And so recently, the Prime Minister approved for Grand Bay $693,000 for the washroom program. And this is to pay attention to 63 washrooms. But guess what? We are going to do 62 washrooms, and the money for the 3 other people who had started their washrooms benefited to bring it to completion. So the money for 1, we helped 3 people to bring their washroom to completion, and we will see 62 other washrooms being constructed. What we have done, what I have done as your parliamentary representative, from our experience and observation, we thought best we contract our local contractors to do the washrooms. So if we give them, they will do everything. Before, the council would buy the material and pay the labor and do all of that and pay transport. What we've done is we've contracted our gentlemen to do that. So we contracted people. I have contracted 11 persons to do those washrooms. 11 to do those washrooms. And I can tell you some of them are moving with haste. My secretary said to me she visited some of them yesterday. And in 1 week, one gentleman is on his second, is doing probably 2, because he's doing 2 of them simultaneously. Instead of engaging 1 person, he has engaged 4 other people. So he can supervise and do them, especially if they're in close proximity to each other. And so they are moving with haste to ensure that they can do those washrooms. So we will be doing 51 of those washrooms are for Grand Bay, even if some of the monies are in Tetmon, because you can well appreciate government does not feel too comfortable putting too much money at one council at any one time. So what we did as a power rep, I suggested that we split it, put Grand Bay and put Tetmon. The Tetmon council is also doing some for Tetmon and Grand Colibri, but less. Because basically what the Prime Minister advised is that let us hit one village and then you go into another. But because of the pressure from 1 or 2 persons from outside of Grand Bay, I thought, you know what? And then when we do my sanitizing in Grand Bay, I realized some people are not quite ready. So we were able to stretch out and meet 1 or 2 in Tetmon. So it means, therefore, when the money for Tetmon and Grand Colibri comes, I will address those who were not ready at the time, but now ready. Okay? So we are moving with haste to make sure that we can attend to the needs. So those of you, I have a comprehensive list for the entire constituency. To err is human. I could have missed 1 or 2. If you think your name is not there, because some people come just to make sure that their name is on the list. So all the names are there. Those who have not gotten, be patient. We will touch your lives with your washrooms, because we are eradicating all pit toilets. There may be little areas where we have to pay attention to, because sometimes some people are renting, the owners are not here. You know, there are some dynamics that we have to study. But however, that is our goal, to eliminate pit toilet. In relation, another concern I know is housing. Housing has been a concern. And people come every week in the office, housing is something that is raised. I walk through the constituency, there's Viniwe Kazla, there's City House, and house, every time that is the cry. Okay? But I must say we have done well in terms of housing. Even before I came in as PAL rep, a lot of money was spent in Granby. And I have the records when Honorable John Fabian was the parliamentary representative. So I know, and I know all those who got houses during assistance during that time. And so I have records of that, plus all of what we have done from the time I came in as PAL rep. And I want to say we have touched the lives of many, whether through renovation or whether through complete structures. We benefited from the petrol casas, first set of petrol casas, and that is why I wanted to bring Honorable Austria. I need to apologize for him. He's presently out of state, but he would have liked to be here because I know Grand Bay people love him and he loves Grand Bay people. Yes. So the thing is, we benefited from some of the petrol casas, and I can say to you, as far as I know, most people are comfortable. In relation to additional houses, I know the challenge is more with single parents. Single parents who, some of you do not have land, but you require a house. You've been living with your mother, you've been living with somebody, you've been renting, and you require houses. I know some people have gone to the Prime Minister's office to make that complaint. Some people come to me to make that request. And from my own knowledge of walking through the constituency, I was able to identify. So when you see I speak to you, I am trying to lead you so much information, and you do not even know why I'm trying to get all of that information. So I know there are some without land that are really in need of housing. And so, yes, Nenage, we are aware of that. So we will be looking at assisting those persons with houses. And I think I will leave it to those who to follow me to speak in detail to it and the execution of the work. I also have another group of single parents who may have land. They have land, either from their relatives or from somebody probably will a little piece of land to them, or the mother has given them a written consent saying, I will allow you to build on my land. You know, so we have those cases. So we have now put another category of persons with land, but in need of housing. So we have that, and I have already submitted all of the information that I'm speaking to you. The Prime Minister is very familiar with all of them. And so we will speak to that. So we have not forgotten you. What I have also done, because of the demand and the frequency with which people are asking for housing assistance, what I have done is I have given the Ministry of Housing, I wrote to Honorable Austria, and I gave him a long list of names of persons who are asking for housing assistance to do your little repair, your little roof leaking, you know, your little one of the siding fall, you know, a door you want to fix. Some people, you know, little repairs. Because we had to change the strategy for dealing with it. I'll tell you why. We have found that we've given housing assistance, and there are some people we've gave the housing assistance who have not been able to move from receiving the material. They've not been able to do anything but have the material stored. Reason being, some people have challenged to bring up the material from Roseau. Some of them have challenged to pay the builders. Some of them have challenged to buy the rest of the material that is missing. Because what they brought for me, the invoice they brought, is X amount, but they require more than that. So what we found, instead of that, and because of that, material is either being transferred or exchanged, or some of the cement may stay and get hard because you took it really, but you were not quite ready, understandably so. But what we have done is now we are looking at a more comprehensive way of dealing with it. So what we will do, I sent the list of names to the Ministry of Housing. I spoke to the housing manager. He did inform me that he has already received the list for Grand Bay. And I was informed as of yesterday, Monday, that they were going to converge in Grand Bay and begin to do assessments. So some people may be coming to your homes to look at the damage that you have and do their own assessment. We are hoping that we can add labor to the assessment. But where we have people who can do their own work, we'll be guided by that. But that is where we are in terms of housing. So never think your pal rep is not aware of the situation confronting you as it relates to housing. And so we will be dealing with those situations when it comes to housing. Under the National Employment Program, the chairman of the council made mention of the National Employment Program. We have presently in Grand Bay, we have about 25 people engaged under the National Employment Program. And let us be honest with ourselves. I have not, what he said, we need more. We definitely need more. But when we need more, those who are there working, let me tell you, some of them are working very diligently and well. I'm very objective. But I am certain that some of you passed by the road and made comments about your dissatisfaction sometimes. And as a result of that, as I said to them, if you want me to bring more, show me that you are going to work. You are willing to work. Some young people will say there is no work to be done, and so with the NEP rally was to engage people, more specifically our young people. But you know what? From my observation, anybody can challenge it. From my observation, the people engaged on the NEP, the grown-ups do better than the young people. They do better than the young people. You pass by the roadside. I can tell you, on Thursday last week, I convened a meeting as a result of my dissatisfaction with what I saw. An emergency meeting I convened. On Wednesday, the day before, it was 9 o'clock, and I drove coming to the Grand Bay Village Council office. And I saw some of the people, 9 o'clock in the morning, sitting by the roadside with their cell phones playing. And I drove back to pick up the clerk because she was not there. So I said, I'm going to come to pick you up. I went to pick her up. And when I passed to pick her up, they were in the same mood. And then I drove back with the clerk and I stopped and I said, good morning. And I said, what's going on? And I said, what is happening there? Should I ask the ministry responsible for NEP to stop the NEP in Grand Bay? It is 9 o'clock. And then they are talking to, we have to work from there. I said, but look, 2 of them are planting flowers. Join them. You know, even if you have to work, go in that direction, join them instead of standing and wasting time. I am prepared if we have to employ everybody. Once the Prime Minister will approve, we'll employ. But I am one of those, as I said to them, when I convened the meeting, I spoke sternly with respect to all of them, but I spoke sternly to them because we cannot use taxpayers' money the way that some people want to use it. We have to work for the money that we are paid for. Okay? We have to. So that is why I am willing to work. And as I said to the supervisor, and if the supervisor is on, if the supervisor is on the road, you find they work very well. As soon as the supervisor turns her back, something else happens. It is not fair. And if you are doing that, when I bring more for the supervisor and she's not there, what is going to happen? Let us be real. Let us be serious. I am ready to work with you if you are ready to work with me and work diligently. I work hard for the salary, and so I expect people to work. Let's give a fair day's work for a fair day's pay. But I must say though, the 25 people that we have, on a monthly basis, government spends in excess of $12,000. So we spend for 1 year, the people who are in Grand Bay, we spend in excess of $144,000 to pay the people who are cleaning by the road. And so you cannot take that for granted. It means instead of sitting by the road, you are doing something, do it with pride. Come out and work. And I'm speaking to everybody on the NEP, across the island, those who are listening. Let us do it with pride, recognizing that government is trying to address a need among our young people. Let me also speak to the non-contributory pension that our senior citizens are receiving. In Grand Bay proper, we have 157 people receiving money on a monthly basis. And as the chairman said, it used to be $200, but it is now $300. It used to be, yes, $200. It is now $300. And while you may want to say, oh, some people may want to say that they are not benefiting, it means, therefore, if your granny, your mother, your aunt gets $300, that $300 that you would have given to them stays in your pocket. You are able now to pay your light bill. You are able now to pay your light bill. You are able to buy all of what you pay your utility bills because that extra money, you're able to buy an extra something because that money stays in your pocket. So even if you are not getting it in your hand, you are getting it indirectly. And so we must appreciate that. Now, when we have the 157 people, it means, therefore, government spends in excess of $42,000. Are we hearing it? $42,000 every month to these people only. It brings us to $513 at the end of every year. $500,000 every year. 513,000. That is $500,000 every year towards the 70 and over non-contributory pension. So calculate that by how many years and tell me how much money is going just in that sector. But in addition to that, the village council also serves 111 people from the social welfare program from the Ministry of Social Services. 111 people. So you get that we spend $27,555 every month. So that is in excess of $330 a month. So that is money that is coming into Grand Bay to touch the lives of the people in this community. We must not just come one friend and take it for granted. That is money that government is raising to make sure that it can touch the lives of our people. And that is some. So I need us to think of all the social programs that this government has instituted, the housing revolution, the 70 and over, the pension, the Yes We Can. We have people working on day to day, every day, taking care of our people at home. Government does not have an obligation to do that. We have to understand that. To care for our people is our responsibility. But as a caring government, we will go out and we will reach out. Because there are some people who are employed. And because they're employed, they cannot always be there to care for their people. There are some people whose relatives have just abandoned them. And so we have to reach out to them. They are people just like us. So we must reach out to them. But it's not an obligation. Government doesn't bound to do it. But it is because of the caring nature of this government. That is why we are undertaking the social programs. Have we ever stopped to think of the assistance that our students are getting to go to school? Grand Bay is not boss because we walk to PHR Secondary and we walk to Grand Bay, to the Grand Bay Primary School. But every year, Honorable Senator has to tell me, Mrs. Charles, don't come back. But even in spite of saying that, I go back again, and I go and I go. And he tell me, I know, Charles. I go because I know there are people who are challenged with uniforms, to get the uniforms. People who are challenged in getting the books. And I do it personally. I take that personal and I do it. I go with my vehicle to pick up the books and to bring it to Grand Bay to make sure our students get books to go to school. Imagine how many hundreds of dollars you would have to spend to buy books, because books are expensive. Our students are going to college, it's expensive. Not recently, last year, earlier this year, under my constituency empowerment, I set some money aside and I gave it to the council to help some of the students who came to me, telling me of the challenge that they have in getting to college, because they have to take a bus from Grand Bay to Roseau and from Roseau to State College. So you know they have to pay 2 buses. Some of them have to stay for the whole day, so they have to get a little snack to eat. And some of them may not have it at the time. So I took a decision as a PAL rep to address some of those concerns because I know what it is. I know what it is. And so I put some money then every month. The council, the clerk told me yesterday, I think she has been doing fine. Everybody seems to be coming for their money. $200 a month to assist with transportation. It's not an obligation. It's because of love for people, and we want to make sure that our children succeed in life. But we can do so much. You as parents and as constituents, you have to give the level of support they require. You have to give the support. All of us have responsibility. Government have responsibility. But as parents and family and friends and constituents, you also have responsibility to our constituents. So let us work together to address that. Small business. 2 weeks ago, maybe just about 2 weeks ago, we gave out some assistance for small business. And I was hoping that we would have done it prior to Carnival, because some people came to me and said, nurse, you know what? It's Carnival time. The shop looking a little light. You know, things are a little slow, if you can help. So I quickly put at least together, based on the requests that came. Some people did not come, but I know the challenge. I know Grand Bay inside out. As a nurse, I've gotten to know every little nick and nook and cranny in Grand Bay. And so I know what is happening. So I put a list together and we assisted some people on the small business. Granted, after that happened, that's the time everybody said, oh, I didn't get and this person come and I didn't come. Fine, that's okay. No problem, no hard feelings. What I have done so far is to convene a meeting of persons with interest in small business. And we had about maybe 54 people from Grand Bay who came to the meeting. That's the first time I probably had a large turnout of, relatively young people at a gathering. Because I recognize, okay, that's another need. So they came. Since then, I have spoken. The Prime Minister is familiar with the list that I have. I have spoken with the minister responsible for small business. Some of the concerns that were raised was management of small business. And so the ministry is now putting some programs together where they are going to do some training for persons in small business management. Because we recognize, and let me tell you, even if those who just got, that doesn't mean others have not been touched. Because that's not the first time that we are giving assistance to small business in Grand Bay. That's not the first time. So some people have gotten more than once, and almost everybody have gotten, except maybe people who are now going to start new businesses. But one of the things I also need to say as I speak to that, we must not expect every time something comes that we must get. Not every time something comes, we must get. Let us reach out and say, I am happy this person got. I am happy that this person got a little something to help them in their little business. Let us not just think of me, myself, and I. If as a government we were thinking of me, myself, and I, we would not be there and doing all of the things that we are doing. On the contrary, it is at our expense that we do it, and we are willing to continue to do it. So we have to understand that we cannot always get everything at the time that we ask for it. But I'm happy that people turn out, and I want to commend all those who came to the meeting. And we will continue to work with you, and based on what, after we've organized ourselves, then we will get back to you. But we have not forgotten any sector in the communities, not one sector. We speak every day of farmers, we speak of single mothers, we speak of children, we speak of elderly. It's like we are fathers and mothers to the entire population. Entire population. Let's think back at the land regularization. You remember when I came in as a PAL rep, when I tried to regularize land and make sure that all of those who did not have a certificate of title because they owed a little money on the little land on Geneva Estate. And we regularized in excess of maybe 100 people. We regularized. We still have more. I am in discussion with the Department of Housing on a regular basis, and some of you who come to me, I speak to you about it. Sometimes I call them in your presence because sometimes it looks like I am not doing it, but it's because the machinery sometimes is a bit too slow. I find it too slow sometimes, okay? But we still have more to regularize. When we regularize you and give it to you at $1, can you imagine the amount of money that you've saved? Instead of buying it at $5 a square foot, you are getting it at $1 a square foot. Think of the money that you've saved. That is money that's stayed in your pocket. You can now hold your certificate of title in your hand and be bold to walk to the bank. You don't have to come to me and tell me, let's come and co-sign a loan for me. You take your thing and you walk in style and you go to the bank and you get your loan. Nobody have to know your business because you have your certificate of title in your hand now. So we must learn to empower ourselves, and I am willing to work with you to make sure that you receive that level of empowerment that you require. To our farmers, I'm not saying anything. I'm going to leave everything to Honorable Drygo, and more so because I'm chairing, I will just give him the little support where I have to. I'm going to leave it to the Minister of Agriculture, who seem to be very familiar with all what happens in relation to the farmers. So don't believe because he's from Castle Bruce, he doesn't know what is happening in Grand Bay. He knows. We work as a family. All right, so I will leave that to him for him to speak to. In relation to sports in Grand Bay, we are aware that the Geneva playing field was battered seriously during Erica. That is probably the area that affected us the most, and our roads. But other than that, thank God we were spared from any serious other damage. We have an estimate of over $2 million for the drainage works. We have a comprehensive plan, in fact. I have it at my disposal, a comprehensive plan. In fact, my ministry prepared it for me. I was supposed to take it to cabinet today. But when I looked at it, I recognized they needed to revisit the budget because some of the components that were on it wasn't making much sense. So they needed to revisit the budget. That is why it has not reached cabinet. But we have the comprehensive plan to include drainage, resurfacing, and we have to regrass, because the thing is we're going to have to rip what is there and to do the drainage. We had lighting on it, but you will appreciate if you stand out there, you will see the lights on the playing field. We just light the playing field to the tune of $167,000. You see those things and you wonder, but you just think it just come there. But it cost the government and lottery, thank God, we partner with them, $167,361.04 to get the lights on the Geneva playing field. It means, therefore, we can socialize better. We can do our fundraising activities in the evening. We can have sports in the evening. All of those who are engaged in physical activities can now go there and do the physical activities on the playing field. The hard cut-in center, we are continuing its development. We've put lights on it. The Dubic people, I can tell you, and some people from Hagley and some from Grand Bay come up there on a regular basis, and they make very good use of it because we have lights there so they can play in the nights. We are going to improve the surface, and we are going to work on some fencing and eventually put a little washroom around it. So at least if you come to play, there's a washroom that you can use. So that is the plan in terms of developing up there. So we are working feverishly in ensuring that all of those things can be done. To all of you, I want to say, I am going to just leave it almost at that. I think I have not touched everything, but I think I have touched enough that we can all identify with at least one. At least one. And I challenge anybody standing there, if they are not able to identify with at least one after the meeting, come and meet me. And tell me you did not get benefit in any of them. I challenge everybody, okay, to come out there and tell me they have not benefited from one or the other. Let's just close up. The Mitcham Bridge, I want to say to you, it is part of a comprehensive plan. Are we listening? You have to take the information, so you ought to listen. You need it. The Mitcham is part of a comprehensive plan to work on the road from Loubier to bagatelle. We are hoping, because bridge is part of the plan that they have. And I know the Prime Minister is willing to ensure that we do something on the Mitcham area, because he's familiar with what happens when it rains. It's nothing new to us, okay? But we will see work, in fact, commencing sometime on those roads. But now we are in the process of beginning the preliminary estimates and designs and working through to ensure that those things can be addressed. In relation to the Tetmon-Soufriere Road, Tetmon people raise it from time to time. The Prime Minister, I will always call his name. He's familiar with all of it, because we talk about all of those things. There is nothing that is hidden. And there are things that he knows that I am not even aware of. But we speak about those things. But let's be real. It is not, I'm not saying I'm not against the road. I think it is an important road. But would you leave all of the village roads with the dirt, the conditions that they are in, and go now and do the road from Tetmon? Which one would you give priority? We have to determine which one gets priority. Do you want to leave the village roads as they are and go to Tetmon and do the road? So if you choose to do that, then tell us. Okay. Right. Okay, so fine. That is food for thought. Because if I were to leave it and say, you know, PM, with all of the money, and that, you see, I talk about 7 million, that is plenty more millions. And if we were to say, leave it and go up there, you know what we would be hearing? Yo kite tout chime guanbe konye, ebe yo ale soufou yan bois fe chime. I am certain that's what will come out. Okay? So I want to say to you, I want to say to all of you who are here, as your humble servant, there is not one thing that I am not familiar with. There is not one thing that I am not familiar with. And I have to, as your parliamentary representative, from time to time consult you. Maybe I need to do it more often. I from time to time consult you, but I have also to set priorities in addressing your needs. I cannot do everything for you all at once. So I have to set priorities in addressing your needs. So I am hoping that we can all understand and we'll be open to questions and concerns. Anything that you have, I'm willing to listen so that we can move forward, because we all work together to ensure that we can address the needs of the constituency. So with that, all I can do now is just to solicit your continued support, And I must say, the more we unite, the more we achieve. Together we can achieve. We cannot fight and achieve what we want. I always say, when we come together, more hands make lighter work, not true? The PAL rep cannot do it alone. We need all hands on deck, just as nationally we call for all hands to be on deck. In the Grand Bay constituency, all hands ought to be on deck. And we must all see all of what is happening in Grand Bay as something that is beneficial to all of us. Because tomorrow, whatever Grand Bay becomes, all of us will either benefit or will be affected adversely by it. And so that is why there is nothing happening in the constituency that should not be of concern to you. So I just exhort all of you to continue to work together with me, to give me the support that I require to make sure that we can accomplish as much as humanly possible and financially possible for the development of the Grand Bay constituency. Thank you so very much. Okay? At this, yes, I pray, baby. We do that. At this point, I want to welcome to the podium Honorable Johnson Drago, the Minister responsible for Agriculture, who will just speak to agriculture, since agriculture is one of our main economic activity in the Grand Bay constituency. Honorable Drago.
Thank you very much, Honorable Justina Charles. Let me recognize in a very special way the presence of our Prime Minister, Dr. the Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit. Let me also recognize in a very special way my good friend and supporter since I entered into politics, our Health Minister, Dr. Daru. I want to recognize in a very special way your own parliamentary representative, Ms. Justina Charles. You may not know, but the three of us entered into politics together in 2009, I think it was. We all left our jobs. Well, we were serving people in our own respects, and we came into politics. Come on. I want to also recognize in a very special way my other cabinet colleagues who are here with us this evening. I also saw enter into this room a man of your area, the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture, Mr. Gist. And you, the good people of Grand Bay, Jobbik, and Pishley who are here this evening. I'm here this evening to share with you some of the opportunities that we have in agriculture, which I would like more of you to be taking advantage of. And I will first start tonight with the $10 million facility we established at the Aid Bank for investment in agriculture and also for the pork and poultry sector in keeping with our objective for the national abattoir. And whenever I speak to people, they often say to me, especially hardworking farmers, l'argent ça c'est pas pour nous. Pas que jamais pas nous. Nous pas que jamais arriver pour taper l'argent ça. And I'm here to say to you tonight that this is absolutely not so. Government placed this facility in the Aid Bank, especially for people like you, the hard-working, mixed farming farmers in the Grand Bay area. Because we recognize that labor is intensive. You employ a guy, he wants $50 for his day, and by 11 o'clock, he's ready to go to his home. And not only that, some of you has been toiling in the farming sector for years. You have reached an age where if you do not employ people to assist you on the farm, you will not meet the production that you are targeting. Additionally, we all know that the pests and diseases, they're more rampant these days. They are really affecting our farms, and it's costly. And apart from all of the fertilizers that we contribute to you, and I'll share some of it to you as we go along, you need some funds to purchase your fertilizer. And that is why there are several components of this facility. From 1,000 to 15,000, you do not need any collateral. From 15 and up, the bank requires certain land paper and other documents. But when we established this facility, we were thinking of you. And that is why all you need from the first 1,000 to 15,000 is a clear demonstration that you are a serious farmer. You've been farming over the years. Your extension officers knows you. They can give you the right document, a letter supporting that you've been farming over those years. They know the number of acres you've been planting. They know a bit about your market source, whether you're going to the Roseau markets or you are marketing for export. And with this document from the extension office, you can now go to the Aid Bank and start negotiating based on the needs of your particular farm. And you know the production that you are involved in. Some of you are doing quarter acres of a particular crop. Some of you have mixed farming with some taniers, some dashing, some plantain, some yams. A lot of you are involved in vegetables for the market. Some of you are involved in ginger. You know the assistance you need for labor to go on your farm. And therefore, we really want you to take advantage of the opportunity at the aid bank. We need you to engage your extension unit. Go to the farmers service center here, to the station, and from that, if you are facing any difficulty, you come to see us at the ministry. If you are into general agriculture, we will send you to the Division of Agriculture for support. If you are into livestock, we'll send you to the livestock unit. If you are into fishing, because I know there are persons from Granby, we may not be fishing in Granby, but they're fishing in Stowe and the other areas and so on. If you are into fishing and you need an engine costs about $18,000. There's $10 million at the aid bank. So therefore, we take you to the fisheries division and we work with you to ensure that you get your share from these funds. Because these funds were placed there for people like you, because we want you to make a living out of your agriculture. We want to ensure that those of you who are in agriculture take agriculture seriously. There are several challenges in agriculture. But one of the challenges where the farmer is concerned is that most of our farmers do not give the quality time that their farmer deserve to ensure that they reap the benefit out of their farm. People see farming as a part-time basis, and this is all what they're doing for a living. If you are into agriculture, you must take agriculture seriously. As we speak, we have the 2 packing houses. They've been commissioned in Portsmouth and in Roseau. Every day, every other day, Mr. Douglas sends a WhatsApp. Do you know where I can get ginger, or cucumbers, or potatoes? Because of the commissioning of the pack houses and the quality of products that are coming out of the pack houses, there is a greater demand for our products overseas. There have always been a demand for our products from Dominica because our products, they're more succulent, they're tastier, for want of a better word. The Matnik market in particular, they say to you, Marché Dominique, primaire qui tout les autres pays. And make no mistake, we are exporting to all of the islands: Barbados, Antigua, Montserrat, St. Kitts, the USVI, the British Virgin Islands, some to the United States, and we're exporting to England regularly. There's a gentleman here, Mr. Blaise. Every month export dashing to England. Next year, they are exporting some 45,000 pounds of dashing to England every month, twice monthly, 2 containers. However, the market demands certain quality. For the English market, the dashing must be between 3 and 7 pounds. So if you're planting dashing for the English market, you need to work with your extension, work with your buyer, so that you will give the dashing the right spacing, cleaning at the right time, fertilizing at the right time, so that the end product will be what the market demands. Some of you are farming on contract with Dexia. The markets Dexia has are all over the Caribbean. The markets demand different size of products. You must know the market that you are producing for. So therefore, you must work as a farmer with your hucksters or your other purchasers, whether it's the packing houses through Dexia, so that you will give the market what it demands. It's a competitive world out there, and everybody is bringing in produce in places where we once considered them to be our own exotic markets. Dominican Republic has facilities in Antigua to facilitate the processing of their products in Antigua. Antigua was a traditional market of ours. No longer can we send anything to Antigua. We must send proper quality to Antigua. So therefore, if you are farming for the Antigua market, you can't go when you want, come back when you want. clean up when you want, spray when you want, and expect to get proper quality. No. You have to spend time on the farm and take care of your farm and take care of a crop so you could produce the right quality that we need. So my dear farmers of Grand Bay, please take advantage of this $10 million facility at the Aid Bank. It's there for you. If you have any challenge in that process, come and visit us. The PS of Agriculture is from your area. He knows you very well. He knows how committed you've been to agriculture. And he knows the challenges that you're facing. And I can assure you we will help you in that venture. Secondly, I want to also mention the abattoir that we have commissioned. Not really fully commissioned, but we opened and have been processing pork and poultry. Since we test the abattoir, we have processed well over 12,000 birds, chicken at the abattoir, and we have processed well over 200 pigs at the abattoir. Additionally, we are providing a service to exotic farmers with their special niche markets. And we have processed over 1,000 birds slaughtered and processed for farmers with their special exotic markets. They take their chicken to the abattoir, it's processed properly, clean and nice, and then they take their chicken to their special markets. We are saying to you, there is money to be made in investing in pork and poultry. However, for the abattoir to reach its fullest potential, our consumption pattern in Dominica must change. As we speak, we do at least 1,000 birds a week at the abattoir. And we are supplying this chicken and pork to some of the supermarkets and to the schools and other government institutions, because we are starting, leading by example, ensuring that our sick people at the hospital eat wholesome chicken and wholesome pork. But we want the general public to buy into that as well. In case you missed the news, just this week in Brazil, there was a crackdown on meat processing plants in Brazil because they are selling rotten chicken and rotten beef to the world market. Persons were arrested. Now, some of the chicken that comes into Dominica comes from Brazil. So I'm not saying that rotten chicken is reaching in Dominica, but I'm just sending a warning to you that some of the chickens that you are consuming here comes from Brazil. So therefore, you must increase your consumption of your own local chicken from the abattoir. So when you go to the market, ask for abattoir chicken. I said yesterday morning that I am throwing a challenge to all of the supermarkets and the restaurants, because we eat out heavily in Dominica. If every restaurant in Dominica were to purchase a consignment of chicken every week to sell to us, we do not need the big portions that they give us when they buy, those that buy in the supermarket. We'll be satisfied with a few smaller portions. But the fact is, we will be getting top quality, wholesome chicken and not imported stuff that we're not even sure where it's coming from. We're not even sure how old it is. None of us know how old this chicken is in those freezers on the way to Dominica, coming as far as Brazil. So my dear people of Granby, I am appealing to you and the listeners to the radio stations tonight that all of us, we have a duty to increase our consumption of the products coming from the abattoir. By doing so, when you buy one bag of leg quarters from Brazil, you have just created an additional job in Brazil. When you buy one case of drumsticks from any of the places in town, you've just created another job in the States. When you buy one chicken from the abattoir, you've just sustained a job in Dominica. I want you to know that. So this is the mindset that we have to have. And of course, my friend just mentioned that the chicken is a bit more expensive. The chicken coming from the abattoir for the time will be slightly more expensive than the imported cheap stuff. Mass production comes from overseas, where their labor is certainly cheaper and they're able to supply across the world. So therefore, the little that we buy here is still a small bit of what they're producing. So therefore, you get it cheaper here. But it cannot be compared with the cost of medication. If for some reason you get sick by eating the body stuff and you have to go to hospital, then you know the true value of eating wholesome food. So, the ball is in your court, my dear Dominican people. We are ready to move into producing 4,000 chickens a day, but you must be ready to eat it. We are ready to ask additional farmers to go into producing chickens for the abattoir. But the market must be there. And we know the market is there because we eat a lot in Dominica. We eat heavy in Dominica. Nous mangeons pas de chicken. So let's eat more of our own so we can expand the market. More farmers. We need to get more young people going into producing chicken. But the abattoir can only process based on what the market demands at this time. So this is my share to you on the abattoir. The other thing that I should have shared with you on the facility at the Aid Bank, which I want to share with you before I close on it, is that I am happy that farmers are now taking better advantage of the facility. As of last week, some 66 loans were approved and farmers received their funds to the tune of $900,000. An additional 48 loans is presently being processed, and there are an additional 32 new applications at the Aid Bank. I trust Granby has at least 20 of that. If not, Granby, my dear Granby farmers, we are ready to help you to ensure that. So the total is 151 farmers so far either have benefited or in the process of benefiting from the loans at the Aid Bank. So we want to ensure that we have a bit more of Granby on that as well. The other thing that I want to share with you is two other points I will make before I close tonight, is the whole question of feeder roads. As you know, we did implement it, or we are in the process of implementing rapidly, a $23 million feeder road project sponsored by the European Union through the National Office in Roseau, through the BAM program. And of course, the European Union themselves, they came down to Dominica. All of the areas in Dominica submitted the feeder roads they needed rehabilitated. And when they came to Dominica, they selected 10 roads in areas where they considered the production was much heavier. And so there are quite a few communities who were not able to benefit from this program. However, the Prime Minister, in his wisdom, who is always thinking of you at all times, and I can assure you, when he speaks in cabinet, he speaks of his people. And I got the feeling when he goes home and he's on his bed, he's still thinking of his people. Having said that, we have secured an additional $5 million for the feeder roads which were not captured under the banana compliance. With this $10 million facility that we have set up, with the markets that we are looking for across the Caribbean. Last year we were in Martinique and we did a very good job there in Martinique, and I'm happy that quite a few new hawkers are coming on board to service the Martinique market. And so we will undertake a project to rehabilitate your feeder roads. And when the Prime Minister said everybody should bring their list of feeder roads, guess who brought the first list? Nurse Charles was the first list we got of feeder roads to be undertaken under this project. And we have roads like, let me see if I can remember some of them. I hope I'll be able to call them like this. We have Mopo feeder road, Makaton. We have Pedita. I don't know. Timontin, right? That's another road of yours. Just to name a few, before I bite my tongue, I'll stop. But we have all of your feeder roads, which we will be rehabilitating under this program for you. But we want you to take ownership of these roads when we have completed it. Government do not have the luxury of the funds to come up to all of these farm roads across the entire island and clear the drains for you, the farmers. Could you imagine that? So therefore, when you're on your way up to your farm, you must do like the farmers used to do in the past. They file a quotas at home, because on their way up they have to check the animals. But now on your way up is to clear the drains. Clear the road, the drains on your way up. There's a coconut branch in there, get it out. There's a dry coconut, because if the dry coconut grows in the road, in the drain, it's very firm. Nothing can take it out, except you, the farmer. So we want you to take ownership of these feeder roads, and we want you to maintain these feeder roads, because they will be your responsibility, farmers. We'll do all what we can on our part, but the rest is yours. And finally tonight, my dear people of Granby, is the whole question of the contribution we've continued to make for you where fertilizers are concerned. Whenever we get fertilizer, we ensure that Granby gets its fair share. From the BAM, we ensure that Granby got its fair share. We are preparing to clear the fertilizer that we've gotten from the Kingdom of Morocco. As you know, our government has excellent relationship with the people of Morocco. And we are in the process of clearing this fertilizer. Very soon, this fertilizer will be ready, and you, the people of Granby, will get your share. However, I hope you are maintaining your farmers group. I hope you are committed to your farmers group. I hope you are giving time for your farmers group, because that's the best way we can assist you as farmers. So therefore, if you're not part of the group, get involved, and we will channel most of the support that we have for you through the farmers group. I could speak for the next 2 hours, because I'm very excited as to where we are and where we are heading in agriculture. We cannot do it without you, my dear farmers. We need you. But we need you to support the investment we are doing in agriculture, because we are investing millions of dollars in agriculture for you. But if you do not put the labor on the farm, we will not see the results. If you do not give us the quality we are looking for, we will not see the results. And don't forget, there are thousands of persons in the entire region depending on your hard labor in the farm for the food that they consume. God bless you, the people of Granby.
Thank you very much, Honorable Drago, and he spoke clearly to the farmers and all those who are interested in agriculture, and we must see agriculture as a science, so let us all fall in line as far as humanly possible. I always say to people, we have too much land that is under-cultivated. Lord bless us with rich, fertile soil. Let us make good use of it. From that soil can come the abundance of our life. Let me at this time invite to the podium to speak to us Honorable Dr. Kenneth Daru, who is the Minister responsible for health and the parliamentary representative for the Pititsavern constituency.
I laughed and smiled. Okay, good evening, and thank you very much, my dear friend and colleague, Honorable Justina Charles, Parliamentary Representative for the Granby Constituency. Let me recognize the presence of our political leader and Prime Minister and Minister of Finance, Honorable Dr. Roosevelt Skerrit. Also, my dear friend, very close friend of mine, Honorable Johnson Drago. He said that we started this journey together with Ms. Charles way back in 2009. I also recognize on the front row 2 other members of the quintet of Cabinet Sisters, a group of 5, Honorable Catherine Daniel and also Honorable Rosalind Paul. And my buddy at Cabinet, Honorable Peter Sejean from the neighboring La Plaine constituency. Let me also recognize the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture, Mr. Geese and his beautiful wife, and also members of the audience. I see quite a number of people from Pichelin here. Just to let you know that your meeting is also called for Thursday, but the fact that you're here tonight means that 2 things. Number 1, you're first for supporting this administration, and also that your support to the Member of Parliament for Granby and also your government. Also in a special way to welcome the Dubic residents who now form part of the geophysical space of the Granby constituency. Let me welcome you in a special way. and of course your very own Granby people. Of course, I feel even as much a part of the Granby community as much as Spirit Savan, because I would have spent the better part of 14 years residing in Granby, and Ms. Charles, of course, would be my pal rep, and she will tell you that I put a lot of pressure on her, if I may be allowed to say so, for the Ballard Park Road, which is where I reside temporarily. And not only have I been a member of the Granby community for the past 14 years, I also found love, true love in Granby, and it is there. Yes. So I really want to thank the Member of Parliament, Honorable Justina Charles, for inviting me just to share a few thoughts with you tonight. And one of the pleasures, I said, one of the good things about speaking down the list of speakers is that a lot would have been said already that we planned on saying. But it doesn't mean that I wouldn't have a few thoughts of my own. First of all, to lend my solidarity to the Honorable Justina Charles. Of course, the historical friendship between Spirit Savan and Granby goes back decades. In fact, from what I recall, that except between the period of 1990 and 1995, when I think Spirit Savan would have voted the Dominica Freedom Party and Granby would have already voted the Labour Party, from as way back as 1995, Granby and Spirit Savan would have voted the Dominica Labour Party. And once upon a time, when the Labour Party, of course, was in the doldrums, maybe the 5 or 6 seats, that Granby and Spirit Savan formed part of that team that held the Dominica Labour Party together. So we have very strong historical ties. Of course, the proximity. In fact, I always tease Ms. Charles when you talk about, remember, the rehabilitation of the Granby to Lubia to Granby Road. I tell Ms. Charles it doesn't pass in the constituency at all. In fact, it passed within the Spirit Savan constituency, although she claimed it for one, but that's okay. You know, we are friends. So your Member of Parliament and myself, as I said, we go back a long way. Of course, we work together as part of the Granby Health Team. So I think it would be remiss of me if I don't come spend a few minutes, actually just to offer some words of solidarity. And on that note, I think it would also be remiss of me if I don't take us back to August of 2015, when Ms. Charles, myself, were one of the first responders to Spirit Savan. I remember the morning of August 27th, it was, 28th of 2015, when we took this short and very stressful helicopter ride to Spirit Savan. And Ms. Charles, without hesitation, formed part of that team heading to Spirit Savan. God knows what we were going to find. But honestly, and even a bit later down, when we were looking for lands to settle the DB community, Ms. Charles willingly volunteered the land at Center, top quality, real prime real estate of Granby, to resettle the DB community. We are currently in phase 1 of the project. And of course, I know the eternal question that a lot of people would be asking from time to time is, why didn't you guys go to a new site to avoid all of these concerns and all of these building on an active hospital site? And of course, as I said, while that maybe would have been our thinking, we were advised by the experts on a number of occasions, a number of experts from PAHO, from WHO, and even our very own medical people, that given the spread and demographics of the population, that it would be easier to build on the current hospital site. So while a lot of people wish the project bad, a lot of people said it was never going to happen, a lot of people said it was a political gimmick, it wasn't going to happen, it has finally started, and we're well on the way into our state-of-the-art new national hospital. And I can assure you as the Minister of Health that so far progress on the hospital is going along smoothly, and your government would have taken a number of steps to ensure that the construction of the hospital progresses smoothly. Of course, like everything else, we will have little hitches. You build a little shack, you build a 7-bedroom mansion, you will have little problems along the way. But we have put things in place to ensure that as soon as these problems arise, that we need them right in the board. So we're expecting phase 1 to be completed by the August of this year. So by the August of this year, you're expected to have your brand new accident and emergency department, together with 2 operating theaters, and also a second medical building completed, housing your MRI, your new MRI equipment, X-rays, scans, etc. So come August of this year, we should be commissioning the first phase of this hospital. And we need to be reminded from time to time as to the funding of this hospital, $40 million US. The last time I calculated it, this was 108 million EC dollars. And this is a gift. Every cent, every penny of this, a gift from our friends of the People's Republic of China. And this is noteworthy because some of us, especially those of us who follow politics closely, would recall that when the Honorable Prime Minister decided to forge diplomatic relations with mainland China or the People's Republic of China, he came under serious criticism, China being a communist country. And the opposition, of course, at this time tried to instill fear in the average Dominicans that we were selling out to communist China, and pretty soon our young boys and young girls will be sent to China to join the army. All sorts of ridiculous propaganda. But today we are seeing the results. Today we are seeing the results of these foreign policies established by our brave young Prime Minister. And I must say, and I think I shared that thought with my friend this Charles when I was asked to join politics, that medicine has always been my love. I mean, I've never wanted to be anything else but a doctor since I could probably say my name. But I think the only thing that could have enticed me to leave my first love to enter politics would have been because of the example set by the Prime Minister. And I'll tell you why. Because I felt that as a young Prime Minister, he made some brave and bold steps for the better of the country. He was willing to think outside the box, move past our traditional friends, and willing to explore uncharted territory. And today we see the results of all of this unfolding before us. And we can speak for the rest of the night as to our friends in China in terms of educational opportunities, not to mention the massive infrastructural projects that they would have funded. The stadium, which can allow us right now to see test match cricket, whereas before we'd be limited to watching it on TV. And I remember in my days growing up as a little boy listening on shortwave radio. Of course, we graduated into cable TV, etc. The Dominica State College, a number of the new Newtown Primary School, and I can spend the rest of the night speaking as to the number of projects that our friends from China would have funded. So your new state-of-the-art hospital is here. It has started, and we see, and given the track record of our Chinese friends, our Chinese counterparts, and they told us that they were going to complete the hospital in 30 months, 2.5 years. And given the track record of our Chinese friends, rest assured that by 2018, you are going to have a complete new state-of-the-art hospital, complete with new equipment, complete with trained doctors and new services. Because as I said, that a new hospital on its own wouldn't cut it. We also have to ensure that we have the trained doctors, and as we speak, a number of our young people are being trained overseas in various specialties, new and exciting services such as intensive care, emergency medicine, geriatrics, which is to do with our senior citizens, a number of specialties. So apart from the new building, you're also going to have a number of new and exciting new services available here on the island. So there will be no need, there will be very little need to now travel overseas. We're not saying that we'll completely eliminate the need, but there will be very little need to now travel overseas because you're going to have the equipment and the personnel at the hospital to be able to deal with a number of the ailments right here in Dominica. So, but we also tell ourselves, and we know that medical care is very, very expensive, and it's no secret. I mean, we go to the private doctors sometimes, we pray just to see them. Then we have to pay another money to do the test they send us to do. Then sometimes just to drop the test to the secretary, we have to pay another money. And also then for the doctors to interpret the results for us, we have to pay another money, okay? So there is no denying the tremendous cost, okay, or expense incurred in medical. And I mean, and I need to say that especially as the Minister of Health, for those of us who access the primary healthcare services at the health facilities where most, if not all of the treatment and medication, okay, we get it for free. We have to understand that while it is free to you, it comes at a cost to the state. And I can tell as the Minister of Health, every year we get requests from the health people to increase our budget for the procurement of medicines. $9 million is spent each year just to buy these pills that you get at the health center for free. So we have to understand while it is free to you, it comes at a cost to the government of Dominica. So you ask yourself now, with the new hospital and the new equipment, all the new services, but people, each and everybody has to be able to access these services. And I tell you why, okay? It cannot be that we have a new hospital with new equipment and new services, and only rich people like, I can use Drygo because it's my partner, rich people like Drygo, okay, will access this hospital. These services have to be for each and every one, from Minister Brown to the poor rural farmer I can call in Piditsava. Each and every service has to be accessible to everybody. So which is why over the years, governments have been grappling with what we call universal health coverage. Because given the cost of rising medical care, we understand, we now have to now say, or devise ways rather, where our people can access these costly medical interventions. So you've been hearing to talk about the national health insurance for a number of years. Even governments before us would be engaged in discussions as to a national health insurance. But it had to take this Labour Party administration, your government under the leadership of the Honourable Ruth Skerrit as Minister of Finance, to commit $5 million in this financial year towards a pilot, what they call National Health Insurance Program. Okay, I think this is commendable, people, okay? A pilot National Health Insurance Program. And of course, the thinking is that we are starting with single mothers, 35 years and below, I think with children 3 years and below, if I recall. But the thinking is that as we go along, we will start adding more target groups until eventually each and every citizen, especially those who do not have the luxury or those who can afford the conventional health insurance, until all of these people are covered. So I really want to commend you, Mr. Prime Minister, and it's being, of course, implemented by the Ministry of Finance. But like I've done many times, the Ministry of Health stands ready, sir, to allow you the smooth implementation of this National Health Insurance Program. Just to wind down, because I want to give the audience, and I see you in full force tonight, so I'm pretty sure we're going to have a lot of questions from the audience. Just to go quickly, also the new Marigot Hospital, just to empower you with knowledge. This would also have been a hot topic, and of course you would have heard the Member of Parliament for Marigot ranting and raving and raging and foaming at the mouth. I was about to use chime, you know, okay, it sounds a little, but foaming at the mouth as to how Marigot have been marginalized as it pertains to the healthcare. But just to let you know that we have $1.5 million budgeted in this financial year towards the designs and start the works of rebuilding the Marigot Health Center and the Marigot Hospital. We would have had our challenges in getting this project off the way. I explained at a number of town hall meetings, of course, the technical advice. We have in just one small department, the Public Works Ministry, to advise us. But your cabinet and government would have given the Ministry of Health the luxury in appointing or employing our very own project officer and supporting staff, so we can now manage our projects, so we don't have to depend on the Public Works Ministry, so we can move smoothly with these projects. A number of other projects carried in this financial year. The Vehicles Health Center, Coliho, I see my good friend, Lady Danielle, and also considering a new facility for Newtown. So all of these are things that we have carried down for implementation under the Ministry of Health. But before I leave, I think it would also be remiss of me if I don't also lend my voice, although the Honorable Charles, I'm your pal rep, and I'm sure the Prime Minister will expound on it, the issue of the CBI. Because, I mean, say what you want about Ms. Charles, you may like her, you may not like her, but you have a hard-working pal rep, an extremely hard-working pal rep. And she will tell you the number of times, and of course a couple of us alluded to it. Every time the Minister of Finance makes money available to us, okay, she will always. And one thing about this child, she's not like me, as she's scribbling little things on paper. If you realize, she can make all that stuff printed in tables and everything well organized. So before the Prime Minister say, okay, folks, we have some money to, okay, yeah, Mr. PM, okay, and she, and I think she herself alluded to it, or Honorable Drygo, when the Prime Minister asked us for a comprehensive list of roads within our constituency that needed rehabilitating. I mean, this Charles, everybody else, I produced a list of coming to about $1.something million. She produced a list of almost $7 million. And I'm like, okay, let's just take everything for yourself. But seriously, you have a very hard-working pal rep. And the little that she gave you of a report card speaks volumes, because let's be honest, people, a lot of the things that Ms. Charles would have done in her one term and a couple of years are stuff that would have been on the pipelines for a very long time to do, and she finally got to do it. So let's be a bit patient. Yes, there will always be things to be done, but let us forget what was done that had to be done a long time ago that she finally did. Okay, so the Charles, I'm telling you from where we sit in cabinet, I think the cabinet of Dominica have tremendous respect for your honorable member of parliament, Justina Charles. Very organized and delivering to her people. So all of these wonderful things that she would have done, and she said she's going to do, you have to ask yourself, but hold on a while, Tropical Storm America happened Tropical Storm America happened almost 2 years ago and left us a debt of $1.4 billion. And every time I speak to that, I said 1.4 billion. C'est pas million. Million ni 60. Billion ni nef. Okay? So $1.4 billion. Now you ask yourself, that means that as we speak, your government should only be concentrating on repairing, fixing back, replacing the bridges, whatever infrastructure that was left. So where is your government getting money to do all of these exciting new projects? Okay? Where is your government getting where are we going to get the money? These proceeds come. And don't be fooled, people. All of this nonsense here, the opposition ranting and raving about the CBI, because they understand the importance of the CBI right now. And they know that in 3 years' time, when election is called up before, I'm not in the Prime Minister head, that by the time we run all of these programs that the CBI funding is being used to do, the washrooms, and the Prime Minister would have said publicly that by the end of 2017, he wants all washrooms, all pit latrines around Dominica eliminated, and also the complete rehabilitation of all community roads. They know that once all of these things are rolled out, they don't stand a chance at the next election, which is why they tried their best to try to come in backdoor. They've tried all kind of stuff. But rest assured that whatever happened on the night of February 7th, don't be fooled. It was of their doing. So why they try to make us believe that it was random acts by some little vein again Rosa, it was planned. And I'll tell you why. Our CBI program has been very successful for a number of reasons. And even if a number of other Caribbean islands were engaged in the CBI on a larger scale before us, we have managed to surpass them. And I'll tell you why. For a number of reasons. Dominica has been labeled as a political and very politically stable country, meaning that you, the Dominican people, you know what you want. You voted the same government for the past 4 terms, for the past 4 elections. Very stable. Our crime rate is low, and then we are ripe for investment. So all of these attempts at destabilizing the country and unrest, because let's face it, the pictures that appeared on social media on the night of February 7th did not look good, people. For a minute, we thought that you were in Baghdad or one of these countries. So when investors see these pictures, these images about Dominica, they will then think twice about investing. But thank God there's a God above, and the efforts and all the efforts at derailing the CBI program are being thwarted. And I want to thank the Cabinet of Dominica for standing solidly behind the Prime Minister and, of course, the rest. Because never before have we been so united as a cabinet, and I wanted to share that with Dominican people. And when you look sometimes or you listen, you follow regional politics, and sometimes you hear of the internal squabbling among cabinets, even among sister countries. There has never been better unity or more unity in the Cabinet of Dominica than now, because we recognize that we're up against an enemy. We're up against an enemy who will prepare to do whatever they have to do to get into government. But tell them it's not going to happen that way, because Petit Servant, Grand Bay, and a number of other constituencies are going to vote back the Labour Party whenever the Prime Minister calls elections. So, in closing, people, one thing I want to leave with you, especially to my people from Petit Servant, I'm not sure if we have a few of them in the audience, because I know we have a number of them resident here in Grand Bay. And to those who, of course, tend to lean or to support all of this nonsense that the DWP is ruling, you also need to understand, and I will say it every time I get an opportunity to speak, that the success of the Petit Servant resettlement, a project which is going to cost more than $100 million, the success, the continuation, and the completion of this project is going to depend solely on the continuation of the CBI program. So while we can speak of a number of other exciting projects like the Kempinski Hotel and Jungle Bay, etc., being funded in the CBI, closer to home, closer to my heart, is the resettlement of the Petit Servant people. So when they think they join in force in the operation to try to bring down the government, they need to understand that if our CBI program fails, people, I will say it in local parlance so that everybody can understand. Kai Pool Quasi. And all of the wonderful, all of the assistance that they're getting from the government, the rent being paid and the displacement allowance, all of this thing is going to stop. And the government will have no choice but to tell you, listen, we have held your hands as long as we could. Our current revenue to assist you has been destroyed. So you now go there and deal with your cow. Okay? So we need to understand what's at stake for the PD7 people and for the rest of the country. All of these other wonderful programs like the feeder roads and the washroom program, all of this depends on the CBI program. So I really want to, on behalf of the PD7 constituency, to thank you, and also on behalf of the Labour Party administration, to thank the Granby people for holding strong with the Dominica Labour Party throughout all these years. And I think it would be remiss of me if I don't mention also the resettlement of Dubic, the ongoing project within Dubic of $2.6 million that to do the walls and the roads within Dubic to make the place look nicer. All of these proceeds come from the CBI. Okay, so we need to understand, as I said, what's at stake, especially when we tend to be sensitive or even listening to the crap being thrown out there by the opposition. We need to understand that a lot of these things will stop. So in closing, as I said, I really want to thank your people for the PD7 and Granby constituencies for holding strong Labour Party. And I have no doubt, in spite of the occasional rumblings here and there, your little dissent, your parable, I have a lot of people that may be in the constituency who will have little dissent from time to time. But I know when the clarion is sounded, when the trumpet is sounded by the Honourable Prime Minister, we will all close ranks together and vote back the best government that Dominica has ever seen, the Dominica Labour Party. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We've listened to Dr. Daru, who gave us a comprehensive report on the state of health as it relates to the development in health. And he also spoke quite eloquently on the CBI program in a way that all of us can understand and can identify with the negative impact the attack on the CBI can have on all, not some, on all of us. So thank you so very much, Dr. Daru. At this point, I know people are excited and people are waiting and waiting diligently to listen to our political leader, a man of vision, a man of wisdom, a man with foresight, a man who has held the Dominica Labour Party for the past so many years, a man who has been moving the agenda, the development agenda for our people together, and a man we will continue to give unwavering support to as we continue to move Dominica. I want to welcome Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit to the podium. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Last week, towards the end of last week, I had a problem with my voice, and it's still not back to normal. But I drank a lot of Bush tea to ensure that I could have my voice back to be here in Granby tonight, because I really wanted to be here with you. Because you are a wonderful people, and I have great appreciation and love for the Granby people. And it is a community that has provided great support to us. It is a community made up of hardworking people. People who are full of life and full of energy. Who are very sincere, but who also speak their minds when they have to. And we appreciate all of these things about the Granby people. And from me personally, I will always be grateful to Granby people, because I can always rely on the Granby people for support, unwavering support when it's required. So I'm happy to be here this evening to interact with you. Tomorrow I go to Paybush, tomorrow night. On Thursday I am back in Pishna to speak to the residents of these two villages. Because we have started, as you know, a series of town hall meetings which started in the first week of February to ensure that members of parliament whom you elected to serve you are able to report to you on a monthly basis on what they're doing together with you for your welfare and the development of the communities and of course the country by extension. So you will be seeing us as often as possible, because in a constituency like Granby that's made up of a few villages, certainly we'll be back in Granby in less than no time. And as long as I'm in the country, I will certainly be present at the Granby Town Hall meeting. And of course, whenever the one in Tetmon is organized, I would like to be there myself. I want to also recognize the presence of my cabinet colleagues, Honorable Dr. Darrow and Honorable Drago, who shared with us very eloquently on a number of initiatives the government has completed and those that we are working on currently. Also, my friends who are here, Honorable Lady Daniel, Honorable Paul, Honorable Sejan, and to the chairperson of the council and councillors and the various chairpersons of the neighboring councils. I also want to recognize in a very special way our Honorable Justin Charles, who is the Member of Parliament for Granby. I prefer to refer to her as simply Nurse Charles. And I will say to you here, the people of Granby, that as the leader of the party, I have the greatest and sincerest love and appreciation for Nurse Charles. And the Labour Party, Nurse Charles, will always owe you a debt of gratitude for the number of years that you have invested in the Labour Party during the time of your husband being the Member of Parliament and Prime Minister, and you coming into politics as the Member of Parliament. And I will say to you, that is the difference between the Labour Party and the other side. People come into politics to serve in the Labour Party. And Nurse Charles gave up a job without once thinking about her mortgage or her car loan or where her salary will come. When she was called to serve, at the 11th hour, Nurse Charles made herself available to the Dominica Labour Party and to the people of Granby. And while some of you may not like her style or approach, because Nurse Charles is who she is. And of course, she's from Granby too. We cannot not agree that in the circumstances, she is doing the best that any parent could have done in the Granby. So my hope and prayer is that we all must look at the bigger picture, not limited to Nurse Charles, but look at it more broadly and understand that this party, this Labour Party, has been the party that has demonstrated a greater love and care for the people of Dominica. And ensured that the less fortunate in our society, the downtrodden, the vulnerable groups in our society are given a fair chance to have a decent house, have access to land, your children having access to education and having the means of taking advantage of the education opportunities. I'm here this evening to speak to you about a few things, because I have to try to save my voice for the other town hall meetings this week. And to say to you that a commitment, and we understand the serious housing challenge which you have in Granby. And those Charles presented me for a list of people who need homes. And those persons who do not have land and need homes, the people who have land and need new homes, and also a list of people who need home repairs. And she presented that list to me, and in respect to those who need repairs to their homes, I told her we need to do a further assessment of those homes to ensure we do a comprehensive job on those homes. And in instances where we know for a fact that these people are unable to meet the labor cost in respect to the repairs, the government should assist them. Because it makes no sense to give somebody the materials knowing full well the person doesn't have the means of fixing the home on his or her own. Amen. So we will review those, and I give you the assurances that once I receive that final report from the Member of Parliament, we will move immediately with fixing those homes in a comprehensive manner to your satisfaction and comfort. In respect to those who need new homes, I've seen the names of the people, the number of families in those homes, the children, the elderly who live in those homes, who need homes, but the family sizes. As you know, we have identified some additional lots at Center, in the vicinity where we built the homes for our friends from Jubic. And I have given a commitment to build 20 new homes in Center. And I give you the assurances, my dear friends, that once we can clear the tenure and some of the plants that are there currently, we will move to commence the construction of those 20 homes. And we expect, today's March, I expect about the first week of April for these 20 new homes to be commenced in terms of construction, so we can move quickly to have those families placed at their home. And she provided me, this child provided me with a list of 15 families. 15 families who are in need of urgent housing assistance. Or in other words, urgent housing. But these 15 people have their land. And this morning in the cabinet, I approved for the construction of these 15 homes for these 15 families on their lands. And the funds are available, and once the contracting arrangements are made, we're utilizing contractors from Granby. We will commence those 15 new homes for the 15 families identified. So we're talking about an initial commitment of 35 new homes for Granby alone. I'm not even talking about Tetman. I'll tell you Tetman at some other time when I meet with them. But just for Granby alone, you're talking about some 35 new homes of 1 and 2 and 3 bedrooms for the residents of Granby. So I urge you to make contact with your parliament to ensure that your names are captured in respect to these 35 homes. Nurse Charles also told you that we have approved, in addition to the first set of washrooms which we approved for Granby, an additional 63 at one go. 63 at one time was approved for you, the residents of Granby. And we're talking about Granby, the village of Granby, excluding Tetman, just Granby. We're talking about 63 washrooms, and the monies have been available. I think, as you said, 11 contractors were identified, and work has started, as a matter of fact, on those. So these are monies that already are available and are being spent, available to you here in Granby. So once we can start these homes, and of course I wait and I'm hoping that we can push very quickly on the home repair issue so that we can assist the number of families who need a better housing condition. But let us put it this way, my friends. The truth is, there is no obligation on the part of government to do these things. Let's understand this. This is not a right. It is not a right. You don't must get it. It is because of the policies of the Dominica Labour Party we are reaching out to people in need and assisting them with new homes and improvement on their homes. This is what we're doing. In respect to the infrastructure, and we have set ourselves in the government, hopefully by the end of 2017, well, before I go to the infrastructure, as you know, by December 31, 2017, I want for this country to have no pit latrines in Dominica. And this is a huge cost, but we believe that it is important for the country to embark on this important mandate and to give every single person in this country a sense of pride, a sense of comfort. Because when I drive around the country and I visit villages and homes of people, and where you have to place this pit latrine to walk to it at night, and sometimes you have to walk up muddy steps, and one can imagine when it's wet, to get to this facility is almost impossible for many senior citizens across Dominica. And by building these washrooms, it is certainly making life much more comfortable for many families across Dominica. In respect to the infrastructure, in respect to the village roads, we have approved, in addition to all the roads we have done this year and last year, because Granby is a very large community, as you know, with many roads and with new communities being developed and brought about, additional roads are coming on stream. We've approved funds for 8 roads, 8 new roads to be constructed in Granby. And as Minister of Finance, I have approved these funds. These funds are available. Once we go through the contracting processes, the funds will be transferred immediately to the village council, and work will commence almost immediately. So you have monies for 8 roads in Granby. I wanted to make monies available for this road, from the Pearchild Secondary School to Tetlali. But there had to be some discussion in Granby as to whether you use concrete or whether you use asphalt. And my respectful suggestion to you in Granby, because I understand most people prefer the asphalt. But when you look at in the long term, it is difficult for a ministry to mobilize a truck to come to patch 2 or 3 holes in a village. So in terms of the long term, my advice to you is to rethink that position and to look at utilizing concrete to do that road from Pearchild Secondary School to Tetlali. And if that is the case, we can advance that project and start it almost immediately if concrete is what's required. But let us not kid ourselves and get ourselves entangled between asphalt and concrete. The fact is, we need a better road. And what is in the best interest of the community at this particular time? Because if you have a hole in the concrete road, all you have to do is cut it and fix it up by yourselves in Granby. You don't have to wait for a government to go and fix it for you. And that is always a challenge for the Ministry of Public Works. And even when the Ministry of Public Works is in a position to come to fix it, sometimes the asphalt is not readily available. So I leave it to you here in Granby to determine how you go about doing this. But I give you the assurances. Because the chairman raised the issue about the roads then. I give you the assurances that by the end of 2017, every single road in the Granby constituency will be paved to the satisfaction of every single resident in Granby. So the faster and more efficiently you can move, maintaining good quality, because contractors like to hold the cement and put half a bag of cement in 3 wheelbarrows and so forth. And sometimes, before you turn your back, the road still having holes in it, because there's not enough cement to bind the roads, bind the concrete properly. So you need to have a proper mix. And understand this, the contractors. You are doing it for yourselves. For yourselves. So the best you can do it will be to your benefit in the long run. This is not for me you're doing it. You're doing it for all of us here in Granby who will use it from every single day, my friends. So we have to understand, and Dr. Darrell just passed me a note to tell me a 3-bedroom house will cost about just over $112,000. So you understand, with fixtures and all the works and so forth. So this is on a chip, and we have to appreciate when these things are done for us and on our behalf. So I want to urge you contractors to do it properly. Take your time and do it properly. And let people boost your work rather than saying, Monsieur ka gaspiller l'argent, gars ça yo fait on chimé tellement l'argent qu'on a dépensé et puis gars ça chimé là qui venu 3 mois après yo fait chimé là. OK? Parce que bon ça. Oui. Moi ça débrouille quand même. In respect to the Lubero Bacatel Road, obviously we will speak more in detail about this when we go to Pishland. But in respect specifically to the Mitcham, that crossing is part of the terms of references for the road from Lubero to Bacatel. So that road hopefully will be financed by funds that have been committed by the UK government to Dominica. And so we give you the assurances that, as a matter of fact, it would make no sense to fix that road from Lubero to Bacatel and not address the issue at Mitcham. So we're not at any variance on this issue. We all agree to this. So I stand here this evening as the Prime Minister of Dominica to tell you, when we are doing that road from Lubero to Bacatel, the Mitcham Bridge will be part of that project. Because clearly, it would be a nonsense not to do the Mitcham crossing if you're doing a comprehensive rehabilitation of this very important road. So rest assured that will come. But it makes no sense for the government to go and spend money to do it if somebody is saying to you that they may be able to do it for you free of charge. So that's the UK government. Or by a grant. So we will wait for this study to be done, and so forth, and make a determination on how we go forward with that. In respect to the National Employment Program, I see no difficulty in we adding some more people if there is a need to the list of people who are already engaged under the NEP. And of course, Nurse Charles spoke extensively on this. So people who would be interested in it, we can certainly contact the Member of Parliament, the Parliament Rep, and we can make funds available and convene a meeting so that we can do so. But as she said, once we take a job, we must be serious about it, because this is not a job for us to skylark and not do it diligently. So we need to work on this. In respect to the small business development, I know we have given some monies, and many people have benefited, and we have done so on a number of occasions. Most recently, this month or last month? Last month. So quite a number of people benefited. And we recognize that Granby is a community which comprises of, which made up of a number of small and enterprising people. Everybody's trying to do something here and there to earn a living for themselves and to create jobs for themselves, as small as it is. Cottage industries and so forth. And I believe it is something we need to encourage, because it is not always better for us in Granby to go to Rosa to work. Sometimes there are things that we can do inside Granby to generate employment for ourselves. Whether it is through agriculture, whether it is through artwork, whether it's through sewing, whatever it is, we can make a living right there. So Granby can be our base of work, and the rest of the country our marketplace. And we need to position ourselves so that when the assistance is given for the small business program, we must use it wisely and use it for the benefit of our program. We must not fall for the temptation of not using the funds for the purpose given to you, because the funds have been given to you with the hope that those of you who have existing businesses, it will help sustain it and maintain your jobs. And those of you who are unemployed, who have an idea as to how we can build yourself and create a job for you, it is an opportunity for you to create a job for yourself and possibly for somebody else in the community. So as small as it may be, it can go a long way. Because as we say Gwendi we can affect Sakdiwi. And so the small, we start small, we build up, and we can become big. Understand? So the smaller we start sometimes, it is better for us and to build on it. So we committed to this. What I think the Parliament spoke to us this morning about and last week about is that there was an initial meeting, and the whole idea is to have some training program, some short-term training program, 3 days a week or something like this, to give you the kind of knowledge that you require on how to manage a business, how to do budgeting, to differentiate the business from your own personal program. Because sometimes we have a small business, we do not pay ourselves a salary, but every time we want something, we go to a small business to take it and not pay it back, and that's how the place become coolie. That's how the place become bankrupt, because we're taking from it and not putting it back. And the more we take and not put it back, then we say, I'm got the business, so as you're married, no? So, but we're committed to assisting you in that. And once we can complete the training, which will not be very long, we will know better what your true needs are and how we can assist you. But rest assured, my friends, I will come back on the day of graduation for this program to make a firm commitment on assistance for those of you who would have participated in this program. In respect to agriculture, my colleague friend spoke about agriculture. And I said to people that agriculture is hard work, because working in the sun and working in the rain is hard work. And because of our terrain, very mountainous and hilly, where many of us have to farm is difficult. But if you keep to agriculture and you invest your time in agriculture, not the 2 hours and 3 hours, you go 7 o'clock, 11 o'clock, we're back watching TV whole day or something like this. We have to invest our time in our business. Because the people who you see who have their own businesses, From morning to night, they're in it. From morning to night, they're in it. You understand? And you see the old lady holding the counter to come to serve you, but she is in it. Because she recognizes to be successful at anything you do, you must invest your time. So if you're going to go in agriculture, you must be prepared to invest your time. And you must be highly diversified. Having dashing alone will not cause you to survive in agriculture. You must have different things to sell at different times. You understand? So when you are diversified, today you will sell some lettuce, you make some money. Tomorrow you will sell some cabbage, you make some money. Next week you will sell some dashing, you make some money. Next thing some plantain, you will sell, you make some money. At the end of the month, you have $3,000-4,000. And you don't need to have massive acreage to make a living. You have to use the land wisely. Let the Ministry of Agriculture guide you on the farm practices that you can employ on your farm to maximize the land space that you have. I can tell you, I do a little farming, and it is highly profitable. I mean, things are selling, people are buying. I mean, I planted some pawpaw and so on, and a number of other crops. I can tell you a whole set of crops. I think I might be one of the most diversified farmers in the country. But I planted pawpaw and so on, and I recall when I was planting, somebody told me, why are you planting so much pawpaw? And just about 40 plants I planted. But it was a lot. And so far, I sold about 1,700 pounds of pawpaw. 1,700 pounds of pawpaw. You understand? So, never later I got this, if I show you. Facebook if I am. So I'm saying is this. So I would urge young people that it is a very important avenue for employment creation for yourself. And the government is providing support. The government is providing free technical advice from the Ministry of Agriculture. The Ministry of Agriculture provides, the government provides from the Ministry of Agriculture free fertilizer to farmers, or highly subsidized fertilizer to farmers. Through the small business unit, you can get monies to invest in your farm. You understand? And we have placed an amount of $10 million. $10 million at the aid bank. And because we recognize that many farmers may not own their own land and may be working on somebody's land, or they may have land with no title, working on it, what we have done, and based on the advice of the Ministry of Agriculture, on the investments that people would need on the farms, the cabinet took a decision in the agreement it entered with the aid bank to not require farmers who are borrowing between $1,000 and $15,000 to not require any security. You understand? And in my view, if a young person who is interested in getting involved in agriculture, or who is currently involved in agriculture, if you get a loan of $15,000, that's a lot of money to invest on the farm. That can take you very far if you're serious about yourself and your future. And we're giving you 6 months grace period. 6 months before you pay $1 back on the interest, which is set at 3%, and the principal. All of us who take a loan at the bank for our businesses or for our homes, the moment you sign your signature on that loan, you start paying back. You understand? But with the loan at the aid bank, you have 6 months grace period on the commencement to repay the monies. And 6 months, there are numerous crops you can plant and harvest and sell before you start paying 1 cent to the government. You understand? I mean, in my fridge I have green beans, I have red beans, and I have pigeon peas. For God. And all of these beans I planted. And I keep telling people, you know, I bought 2 pounds of beans from Miniers. Now they're saying I have shares in Miniers, eh? Yeah, I have shares in Miniers. But I told them I don't want shares in Miniers, you know. In Astafan, I want shares. You know, Miniers too small for me. Astafan, I want shares and so on. And I bought 2 pounds of beans from Miniers, and I planted this. And I do not buy beans from the shop. So you don't need to have a big space to be able to do these things, to minimize on your cost of living and the money you spend in buying. I know you guys like to go red beans in little packs and you take it and all these power total white and cook already and so on. Is somebody tell me imagine you checked out, you know, or you guys like KFC and so forth and all these things and it's fast food. But there are a lot of things you can do. So I'm saying to you, my dear friends, from my own experiences and speaking to people who have been involved in agriculture for an extended period of time, they have said to me that there is a future in agriculture. And when you look at people who are involved in agriculture, they have been able to build their homes, buy the vehicles there, send their children to school on a cutlass, my friend. So I am urging us in Dominica and in Granby for us to look at agriculture in a very positive way because there are markets for agriculture in Dominica. And the minister spoke to you about the number of people who have applied for these loans and gotten so far. So far, 66 loans. And the loan facility only came into effect in August of last year, thereabout. So between August and now, some 66 Dominicans have gotten loans under the $10 million facility. And some 48 are now being reviewed by the bank with a view to approving them. So you're talking about another 48 persons there, 8 and 6, 14, 114 people. Hopefully before the end of this month, would have benefited from this facility. So I am urging you to go out there and to get the loans. If the bank is giving you a runaround, I want to know whether the bank is giving you a runaround. So I will ask the bank, why are they giving you a runaround? Because they will have no reason to give you a runaround for when you go there. So I want you to tell me if you're getting a runaround from the bank, so I can call them and tell them, let us stop that nonsense if that's the case. In respect to other things like social assistance, and this child spoke, you know, about the 70 and over. You know, I used to go across the country, and a lot of these policies which the government, this Labour Party has implemented, let me let you understand this. There are two things. One, there are things called policies, and two, there are things called legislation. These programs I have spoken to you about, my dear friends, are policies of the government. So they will not, it's not a mandatory thing. And a lot of these policies that we have implemented come directly from our interaction with the people of Dominica. And I recall going across Dominica, and every time I go to every village in Dominica, no exception, and including this city in Portsmouth and Roseau, elderly people will come up to me and say, Prime Minister, mo travaille à ce chemin-là, mo bâti l'école ça là. They worked on the road. They build this school, they build this health center, and today they're getting nothing. And because back in the days they had the Provident Fund. And when the Provident Fund came, many of them may not have been sufficiently oku on understanding the system, may have fallen through the cracks. And in many instances also, employers never paid the deductions for these people, for these unsuspecting people. Because they show you their Provident Fund card, and in some cases they showed you their Social Security cards. But in some cases, they did not make the contributions, the minimum contributions required to get a pension. In other cases, it was so small that it was always not making sense to go for it sometimes. You understand? And we sat in the cabinet numerous times and said, look, we have to do something for these people. What can we do? Yes, we have the public assistance. But many of these people do not qualify for public assistance. What do you do? And that's why we came up with the allowance for people 70 and over. And I can tell you, and I'm sure that you know people who benefit from this across the country, including Granby, of the sense of independence, because older people like to have their independence. Even if they have children, they want to know they have the l'argent poche. So when they hear the bread passing, they can go and buy their own bread. You understand? They like their independence. And this has made a tremendous difference in the way of life of many hundreds of people across the length and breadth of Dominica. So we're committed to this, my dear brothers and sisters. And it's something we believe that we must continue. Because I say wherever I go, that we as a government, we as a country, will not be judged by how many roads we built and how many buildings we built, but by how we take care of our people. And it is important for government because we also have a biblical responsibility to the less fortunate among us. And I am warning people. I am warning those who are grudging the poor people of this country, who are benefiting from the government's generosity, that we are just instruments being used by God to help poor people. And I'm saying to us that there can be politics and there can be other considerations, but we must never grudge a poor person for what he or she is receiving. Because you shall answer to the good Lord one day for this. And my fear is that your crying down of a poor person receiving assistance, that curse may very well fall on you before you reach the end of time. So let us not begrudge the poor people and so on. If somebody is living in a broken down home, leaking and so forth, a lady 87 years old and the government build a house for her, you should say thank God for that. Say thank God for that and so on. Now, in respect to the Citizenship by Investment program, which is a widely talked about program, I will say to you, my friends, that the funds which we receive from the CBI is most helpful to the people of Dominica, the government of Dominica. The world today is a very difficult place. And in 2008, when the world crisis visited the world, our world, the world which we live in, has not recovered from that financial crisis. And the world today, as I said, is getting more uncertain as every day passes by. Countries are looking more inward, looking more to themselves, and are not prepared to reach out to other countries in need. And it is becoming a time when we in Dominica and the Caribbean have to paddle or row our boat more and more by ourselves. And it is not that the countries in the world are not prepared to assist us, but because they themselves have their own challenges. And you cannot blame a government or a president or a prime minister if he says, look, my country is first. You cannot blame him, because he is first responsible for his citizens. And the world is becoming a more challenging place. And this is why we must stand in defense of the opportunities which this country has currently. Because if we allow some people to destroy it, every single citizen in Dominica will be impacted upon. There are some who believe that if it is impacted, only those who support Labour Party will suffer. But we all have to go to the hospital and the health centers. We all must drive on the roads. We all want to ensure that when our children go to school, that there are teachers to teach. And the teachers have the resources to teach our children. Hoteliers and restaurant owners and taxi drivers and tour operators and vendors want to know that tourists will come to Dominica, because it is only when tourists come to Dominica they can make money and create jobs in Dominica. If the tourists stop coming to Dominica, you can understand the impact on the way of life of our country. The hundreds of people who sell at the various sites across Dominica, on the bayfronts and all over Dominica. The hundreds of bus drivers who depend on this cruise industry to survive. Because you have opposition elements in Dominica who are going and speaking to the cruise line people, for example, and giving them the impression that Dominica is a dangerous place. Don't come to Dominica. All of the taxi drivers, all of the vendors and the tour guides will be impacted. So we have to understand that this is no longer politics as we know it. This is about the survival of our country. This is about the future of our country. And this is about people attempting to destroy what is happening in our country. So they're unable to give you biscuit, but they want to take bread from your mouth. You understand? So let's understand this. But I will say to you, as I've said numerous times, that this government has been managing the CBI in a prudent and responsible manner. And this government can account for every single dollar which we receive from the CBI. Every single dollar. And all of these programs we're talking about, for example, the 15 homes which we'll build for you here, the washrooms, the small business support, these roads that we built, all of these monies are coming from the CBI. The complete resettlement of Piditsavan. And we're in fact building extra homes that people from Pishle and Belvishopé will get homes there. All of this, all of the contracts have been signed for every single element of the resettlement project at Belvishopé. This is 100% financed by the CBI. You understand? The $10 million which we place at the aid bank for farmers and the $15 million which we place at the aid bank for the hotels and restaurants are CBI funds. You understand? So at this time, my friends, the CBI is very critical to our country. And this is why this government has deliberately utilized the funds in a sustainable manner. One, to reduce the prevalence or the presence rather of poverty in our country, because there are a number of indices which contribute to poverty levels in our country. Access to water, access to sanitation, access to housing. So somebody in Grand Bay, for example, who might be on the list of being an indigent because the person living in a home that's broken down, no water, no washroom, by a mere decision of the government to give you a home, you're automatically out of that area. Plus the $300 which you get at the end of the month, you are taken off out of poverty because you're now living in a better condition than you were at the time of the study. And with regards to the sustainable use of the funds, we're investing the monies. We're investing the monies to create jobs, to expand the economy, to diversify the economy, to place our infrastructure in a stronger footing to attract investments. For example, the investment in the geothermal, where we have assigned $45 million to invest in the geothermal, to build a 7-megawatt plant, with the hope that we can reduce on the cost of energy. Every single one of us, whether our salary is $5,000 a month or $1,000 or $500 a month, we all complain about the high cost of our light bills in Dominica. And we're seeking to reduce that by investing in geothermal. And all of us will benefit. Because our light bill is expected, based on advice from independent people, experts, our light bill will go down. You understand? And I am very mindful. And I would say even more mindful than most, because I am the Minister of Finance and I'm the one who is charged to fetch the resources and to apportion the resources. And I am always mindful that nothing lasts forever. That today, the CBI is doing well, tomorrow, you can drop in revenue. You understand? You can drop in revenue. And therefore, while you have it and it's doing well, you must ensure that you invest it for the future. And that's what we're doing. And that's what we're doing. And with what the opposition is doing, with the people overseas attacking the CBI, we expect it to be negatively impacted. Because any negative story about anything will impact something. And this has been done deliberately by them to undermine the opportunities for this country. And just for you to understand how important non-tax sources of revenue is for a country, you have countries like the United States of America and Malta who have programs. So if the world's richest economy can have such a program, what about small Dominica, whose economy is very exposed to natural disasters and external shocks? And any little problem in the world, countries like Dominica are negatively impacted upon. And we will all agree in Dominica, in Grand Bay here tonight, that none of us like to pay taxes. So if you are unable to finance the country's development with sources like grants and non-tax sources, you have to either borrow from the banks or from governments, from countries, or increase taxation. You understand? So this is why, my friends, the CBI is important, because it allows the government to do many things to improve the lives and livelihoods of our country, and to place our country in a position to allow it to attract investments to help create the much needed jobs for people in our country without imposing taxes on the citizens of our country. So that's how important and how we operate the CBI funds. But I'm here in Grand Bay, and I really want to commend Nurse Charles for her representation. Nurse Charles, in my mind, is one of the hardest working members of parliament in the 21 Constituency of Dominica. And one of the most organized parliaments. And you know, everything can be done at one time, my friends. And if we have a list of 50 people who want housing assistance, and 10 get, and you haven't gotten, it means that you are closer to getting. So always look at it that way. You understand? Always look at it that way. But let us work together. You know, fighting by ourselves, we're not going to get us anywhere. We're using energy wrongly. You know, let us focus our energy on how we can continue to improve Grand Bay, how we can work in the parliament, work in the village council, work in the government, working for ourselves, among ourselves, between ourselves, as residents of Grand Bay, on building the country. Being negative is not going to get us anywhere. We have to be positive. We have to think positively. And as our friend Gregory Rabbit sang in a song, "I'll go wash on Shimela." If there is a stone in the road, I know 12 years Sam will wash la on Shimela. So if the drains are blocked, let us not call on the council. Let's not call on the parliament. Let us, those of us who live in the area, come together and unblock the drains so that we can make it better for ourselves. Because we have to take ownership for our communities. Ownership for our communities. And let us sit down, my friends. Whatever challenges you have in, being vexed about it is not going to solve your problem. Let us sit down. Let us respect each other, one another. Let's sit down. We don't always agree, but let us express ourselves and so forth to work together. Because most of, I mean, lovely would go. So can't go see. So let me tell you something. Can't go you got some many can't go because. But I know when you express yourselves, it is not about being vexed. That's the Grand Bay style. And we cannot change the Grand Bay style. Upaga mete pièce globe show pour parler. Et puis la vous parlez zo. But understand, if we do not work together, it makes it more difficult for us to solve your problems and solve the problems of the community. So let's understand too that we're in this together. This is our community, this is our country, and we all must play our part in its advancement. I want to thank you very much, my dear brothers and sisters. Thank you very much for listening to me. And I give you the assurances that all of the promises which you made and some of the challenges that you have, we will work together to overcome them as time goes by. God bless you and God bless your families. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Dr. Roosevelt Skerrit. We've listened to Dr. Skerrit, we've listened to Honorable Daru, we've listened to Honorable Dribo, and you've listened to me. Now is your time to make your contribution. What a one. Now is your time to make your contribution. Are we listening? We will take 5 questions or comments at any one time. We will respond to them, and then we will open up the floor again. So you